Say what you want about Devin the Dream Haney, but I'm starting to think among guys like Shakur, among guys like Tank, I think these guys are always grouped in the same category. I think everybody wants to see those top three fighters fight each other, but out of those three, there's no doubt that Devin Haney is the most accomplished. Let's be real. And a lot of us, pick and we like to rank these three fighters in terms of who's going to beat who, because realistically these are the biggest money fights in the sport of boxing when it comes to the lightweight and junior welterweight division at 140. These are all potential mega fights that I think could sell a lot of pay-per-views. I think a lot of these fights could get close to 1 million pay-per-view buys and maybe even break them just because of how young they are, the personalities that they carry, the swag, everything along those lines. That stuff sells. Even the aspects that don't include boxing, the controversy from guys like Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney. That's a lot of eyeballs that not only boxing fans care about, but other people outside of the sport are going to tune in to watch that because of the narrative. Everybody loves a good narrative in the sport of boxing, and I always talk about Devin Haney and Tank. I understand that stylistically, maybe Shakur and Tank is the most compelling fight from a skill set aspect, but Devin's right there. And we can't even count him out because technically he's faced the more credible opposition, as of now. But Devin beat Kambosos, defied the odds, took 25%, went to George Kambosos' backyard, beat him, defended it again, gave him the rematch, man of his word, came back to the U.S. with the belts. You can't take that away from him. Fought Loma, didn't get the performance that maybe he wanted, but then again, Devin stood in the pocket a lot more than people expected, more than he should have. But it was clear that Devin wanted to make that kind of fight. He wanted to fight that kind of fight. He wasn't doing the usual jab and move, that stick and move, pop shotting, countering, being real slippery in there. But then again, it's hard to do that kind of stuff against a guy like Vasily Lomachenko, but he's just a very seasoned fighter at his age, I believe. I feel like Devin's gotten all the exposure, all the experience that he really needs, and I think he's ready for guys like Tank. He's ready for guys like Shakur. He's fighting Regis Prograis, so hopefully that fight goes through. We keep hearing iffy stuff about that, so we'll keep you guys updated on that. But it's a very credible opponent that he's fighting in Regis Prograis. He's the guy out. Don't get me wrong, Teofimo and Josh Taylor, that fight went down, so that shook up the division a little bit. But there's also Regis Prograis right there who beat Josh Taylor. So, sorry, that didn't happen. But what I'm trying to say is, at 140 pounds, Josh Taylor, he was the guy. Let's be real, he was the guy. And then to get beaten the way he did by Teofimo Lopez, it was really impressive on Tio's part. So you have a guy like Tio, you could throw him in the mix too, and him or Devin, they might be the most accomplished fighters. So he beat Loma as well. Both guys beat Loma, but I'd argue that Tio did it in more clean fashion. So, Devin's a great fighter. Let's keep that 100, because I don't like when people discredit him. I'll be real. I'd probably take, if I was going to rank Tank, Devin, and Shakur, my ranking would be, that's tough. I'll probably go Shakur number 1, Tank close second, and Devin close third. And that could change tomorrow. That's just where I am right now, just in terms of the skill set. Tank and Shakur, I always say, Shakur probably outpoints him, but there's always that element of Tank landing something big and changing the course of the fight. That's why it's a compelling matchup. So if Shakur can stay clean, swim without getting wet for 12 rounds, same for Devin. He could definitely pull off a win against Tank, but it's more so if he doesn't get hit. If he gets hit by one shot like that and he gets cracked, and, people like to talk about the sparring as well. The sparring between Devin and Shakur, the sparring between Devin and Tank, Tank and Shakur. All these guys got in the ring with each other. That's why it's such a big narrative. And, Teofimo's had his experience with these guys as well. So that narrative of sparring, I think, needs to be milked a little bit more. It needs to be talked about a little bit more, because it creates the narrative of, I've been in the ring with this guy. So there's going to be a lot of mental warfare. None of us know what went on in the sparring footage, except for people on Devin Haney's team, Shakur's team, and Tank's team. This was years ago. So these guys have been in the ring with each other. They all have different stories, different accounts of what went on in the sparring. It seemed like it was competitive. It wasn't that kind of sparring where you're just working. It was more so that real work, you're trying to impress people, you're trying to put on a show and prove that you're that guy. Even in sparring, you're competing against the best, so you have to take that flip that switch and turn it up a notch and shift into that, you know, that third, fourth gear and be ready for that, and to show them who you are, you know, show them that you're the real deal. And once these fights go down, I think it's going to be really indicative of who's the best fighter in the world, who's the best boxer in the world, because the lightweight division is stacked. There's no doubt about it, but there's a lot of controversy between, you know, who's really the best. Despite Devin Haney being undisputed at 135, obviously he's going to inevitably not have the titles at 35. If you want to say he has them right now, it doesn't really matter. But even though he accomplished what he did at 135, people are still arguing that guys like Tank and guys like Shakur are going to give him problems. So despite having the titles, but despite his resume, there are still names right next to him, and people want to see those fights because they're such big fights, so interesting and compelling stylistically, and the history they have, you know, being in the ring with each other. It just makes for such an interesting story, interesting lead up, and I know those press conferences would go crazy. So, you know, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, that's a big fight. That's probably the fight I want to see a little bit more, just because everyone talks about Shakur, even though he's pretty old himself. Not old, but you know, he's not a prospect anymore. He's well established. So those three fighters, all of those are big fights. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole situation. Will we see Tank and Devin first? I think that fight has to go down first, and then maybe we get the winner to fight Shakur. As Shakur, you know, progresses, he's eventually going to become that mandatory challenger. So we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. What's the best fight at 35 and 40 that we could make? I think ultimately, stylistically, it's Tank and Shakur, but I think Tank and Devin might sell a little bit more, potentially, just because Devin's popular too as well on social media. So I think he brings another crowd for sure. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Manabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.